Thank you, everybody, the committee is here tonight and acting CIO Norma, thank you for attending this meeting tonight. For those viewing online, call this meeting to order now and just let you know in advance that this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube and being recorded, and that recording can be viewed up to a year before it's taken down. So just be aware of that. Anybody here, item number 2 here, if anybody has a declaratory pecuniary interest, you can declare it now or throughout the meeting if you choose to do so. Okay, and I guess I would just say also on the live streaming that attendees will not be permitted into the meeting using any name, but their given name will only be permitted as an attendee for the agenda item that pertains to them. Attendees will be dismissed following hearing of your item, but can view the remainder of the meeting on YouTube. Okay, item number 3 there, adoption of committee meeting minutes. The minutes be adopted by the fire exec committee, and that those confidential minutes of the closed sessions of committee remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in attendance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And we have the fire exec committee meeting, May the 16th, 2023. And that was minutes were adopted by Gary Atkinson, seconded by Kristen Rodriguez. So have you guys had an opportunity to view those minutes or review them or have any questions or corrections on them?
I'm fine, Mr. Chair.
Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you. Accept those minutes. Okay. Okay, just going down the agenda list, no business arising from the minutes that just discussed. Tonight, we don't have any accounts. No staff reports tonight. No bylaws, no new bylaws at this time, no correspondence. No recommended reading. Moving right straight to item number 10 tonight, the purpose of this special meeting of the fire board is to do a review, verbal discussion on the fire chief's job description that we are in preparation of preparing and putting out a posting for the fire chief's position, the vacant position here in Plympton-Wyoming. So this is an open meeting. Transparency for sure. So we'll get right into it. What we're going to do for the committee here is we're in the process of reviewing other job descriptions, I suppose taken from different parts of the province and different cities. We will review our own job description that we had on file. We have had feedback into this meeting from all councilors. We're given the opportunity to feedback anything they would like to see or take out any of these job descriptions. So that's what we're going to do, and hopefully by the time we're done here, which shouldn't take too long, is come up with a final job description to be posted by the town. So what I'm going to do now for the committee, I am going to open this up to Ella. Ella has been putting this all together for us and collecting some different job descriptions and seeing what they had in theirs and versus ours, and has made some changes. And as she's going through this and you look at the job description she got here with the blue colored highlight on here, these are the changes that have been added so that you can see what the old one looked like, the old job description looked like, and what the additions have been, some of the new changes. What you'll also see in this document, by the way, this is just a draft document, anything can be changed. You'll see strokes through, line stroke through, and suggestions of some of the things to be taken out. So I think, saying that, Ella, we'll turn it over to you and, give us your, opinion on a lot of this.
Yeah, so I did print you guys off a lot of different copies of the position description, so you could see what it started as, what all the suggestions are, and then what a quotes final version is at the moment. So the posting I gave you for council suggestions includes suggestions made by councillors as well as our district and acting fire chiefs. Did you want me to go through line by line and change by change, or do you want to just comment on anything you see?
Go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't receive this part ahead of time. Your changes?
No, so this was, everyone had up until today to put their comments in. So I waited until I had all the comments to put this together, so you are unfortunately receiving it very last minute.
Okay, well, I think maybe we should go line by line now. Is there a ton of them?
No, I think that,
It's
No, there's not that much, yeah, so if we go line by line, the differences. And also, if I may, reason why I asked for the fire services bylaw, I just wanted to make sure we were in conformity with everything that you said. As well.
I read it over and I believe we're in good shape.
Okay,
but if you have anything, as we're going through it on the, you can go ahead and question.
no, it's just that nobody had mentioned it, so I thought it would be prudent to that we all looked at it and made sure that it was.
Well, I'm glad you did, because I reviewed it also through it and,
Oh, did you?
yeah, good, yeah, good suggestion. Yeah,
We're siblings from a different timers.
yeah, no, it's good to review that. Yeah, go ahead, Ellen.
So starting with the position summary, you can see the highlighted center, words were added. So the fire chief is responsible for and will provide leadership, technical expertise, overall management and operation of the Plympton-Wyoming Fire Department and Emergency Services Department, including fire prevention, fire suppression, emergency response, training, fire inspections, fire code enforcement, and public education in accordance with applicable legislation. The next sentence, there was a line removed. The fire chief will also act as the alternate for the emergency management position instead of being the one responsible for it.
Good question.
Thank you. So this one here, I do notice that, and it was a good suggestion. Carol Woolman, about the emergency management position, because I see a lot of other resumes seem to have it. I don't know so much that we should say that will also act as the alternative. Maybe they should have that, just have that certification with the possibility of being an alternate. I feel like I don't want to be, we shouldn't be handcuffed to a certain statement that allows for more general. In case down the road, things change, that's all. Positions and what people do as the town grows. I don't know, it's just a little finicky thing.
We, and I talked to Ella before the meeting about, I had a question on the same thing, but I think certainly I was one that suggested that it'd probably be a good idea to have the chief as an alternate rather than go outside the community if you actually needed an alternate. So
No, I appreciate the statement. I just didn't want to
Yeah.
be handcuffed to.
over on page 2 of 3, just on the same topic,
Sure.
CEMC certification would be considered an asset. In other words, wouldn't be required, like, it wouldn't be a requirement of being hired. We're just saying it'd be a great asset if you have it. If you don't, won't be a condition of employment to have it. We're just suggesting it'd be good alternative Because right now we're outside the community asking for an alternate. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I think right at the moment, we do have our primary is a drainage coordinator, Ms. Cummings.
Yes.
Our alternate is outside the community. So I think the reason this was, I think any training that the chief could have, most of them, and DC Jordan can answer this. Most of you guys have already some of the basic training as well. Is that correct?
So I've taken the BEM course, basic emergency management. In the past. And just an introduction to it and everything else, so. And the alternate designer just gives keeps them in the, keeps the fire chief in the loop as well. It's just that. For the emergency management group that using his expertise on the fire service and your emergency management or. When emergency comes through, that not always necessarily that the fire department's gonna be out there in full force. And it could be just a snow emergency, which was the last one we had in the town. That, yeah, we had a few accidents, but finally we basically took nothing was on the road, couldn't get down, so.
I think also too, it prepares us for the opportunity, say if we had a major rail derailment or cars off and explosions or whatever. This way. The fire chief does have some knowledge and some training on this.
I think where Kristen and we talked about this before, we're looking at the fire master plan. Does not recommend that the fire chief be the CMC. Because he probably is already involved heavily in the emergency, so it should have been somebody at arm's length, but. This suggestion would just in case you needed an alternate or a backup,
Yeah.
just in case, which. I don't know how often you would need the backup. I suppose if the person was on vacation.
Yeah.
Or sick or something like that. It's a good topic of discussion. This was discussed at council, by the way. Whether we need one. So let's keep up the discussion, decide what you want in here. Yes, Ellen.
I was just looking further on in the job description under principal responsibilities. The third bullet point, the third last one. It does speak to being the alternate CEMC down there as well. So. On it, right in. Position summary, if they are only going to be just the alternate, we can include it further down. Responsibilities.
Sorry, where is that?
So page number 2, under principal responsibilities, the third last bullet point.
Oh, yeah, that's a alternate, act as the alternate community emergency management coordinator.
Well, that matches your first sentence.
Right, but
Statement, yeah.
they're only going to be the alternate. Do we want it in both places on this job posting or just in?
I guess my point wasn't so much is that we don't want him to be an alternate. I think we want to have a fire chief that has that certification. And it not being often, just because so many other jurisdictions also require that. And on top of it, wanted them to be the emergency management coordinator.
I think just looking at this job description, I think you gotta look at the headings of each one of these headings. What we're talking about position summary, that's just summarizing up what is in the rest of the document, right?
Mhm.
That's all that's doing. Then when you get into the details of it, and the description part, that's a little clearer on what you want. So I think, personally, I think they fit together because they're different headings,
Mhm.
right? That's just a summary, so that's including all the stuff below. But committee can do whatever you want. You want to take some of it out, you can put more in or. Well, it says, will act as an alternate. Where did I read that? You can ask that, where was it?
Under required experience and education.
Yeah, required
Else.
education,
The third one down says
third court.
would be considered an asset.
See that third,
Why do we want to-
Thursday, that's it, when we're asking them to be.
Yeah, so that may,
So I think that should be,
should be required then.
But I think the thought was, if not to deter someone from applying, if they don't have the designation right off the bat, that would be something they could achieve through employment with the town to get that training. If they're only the alternate, it wouldn't be pressing that they have it the day they start. It'd be something they get within, the first half year or how long it would take to get that.
That's happened previously.
Yes, it has. So they didn't have it, they were required to get it. So I don't know if you want to put that in here.
Well, maybe touch on that.
These two.
Yeah, I can see now where that, why you're questioning that one page, we're saying.
Yeah.
You'll be the alternate, the next page is saying, well, if you got it, fine, if you don't have it. it'll be
So if you
okay.
don't have it, we
Yeah.
are gonna require
So,
to take the training.
Yeah.
so maybe we gotta be more clear that CMC certification would be required, is that what we're getting at?
Or well, not necessarily be required, but it, upon hiring, it would be a requirement to have it.
And ask,
I think that's what we're trying to get away from, making.
She would.
Right, that kind of,
Right, so it not necessarily has to be a requirement, but upon hiring, it would be. The training would be required to take, certification would be.
how do we place that in the old one, because
upon employment.
in the old one, the chief he did not had to get it. We required that, right? But what does it have in the old job description about CEMC?
Seems like it's just more and more. common.
said that he was supposed to have EMC certification.
Hmm. Where are you seeing that, Norma? Sorry, page.
Oh, page 2, the second line down is certified as a whatever. And CMC
And
certification.
has CEMC certification, which,
I think, as you'll remember, Mr. Chair, the provision was one of our opportunities to hire a fire chief. We said, you have this time frame to get it in.
yes, and that's what we did, correct?
So even though it was a requirement, we hired somebody without the requirement.
Yes,
So
And asked him to.
I don't think it really deterred anybody then.
and that's what we were trying not to do here. We're trying to be clear whether you had to have it to be hired or you didn't. And that's what we were trying to soften up, because we didn't really want fire chief to be the CEMC.
Sure. Okay.
Then we switched to kind of, well, it'd be sure nice to have as an alternate.
What's your thoughts, Steve Jordan?
So I think it's to have not a requirement, but as upon hiring, then we'll receive the training within the first 6 months, 1 year, whatever, so.
They need to do the basic and then they move up to the next level.
What do you think that's? So upon hiring, what would some of the words be? So Ella can get it
I
down.
think she was already working.
Or you're not blocking them.
Yeah, that's what our goal, right, exactly, for this position. Yeah,
We just say something along the lines of the successful candidate would receive the training if they do not already have this designation.
so,
That sounds good.
Yeah. There's things there that should have, and then there's things that shall have, that you want to see this, we'd like to see this.
we'll get this all read back to us in the final, before we do a final anyway, so. Okay, Ella, carry on. We can get time. Take your time. Is that okay with you, Norma?
Okay, so moving on to principal responsibilities. Principal advisor to CAO and council on matters of fire protection, emergency services, and preparedness. Prepared departmental budgets, operating and capital, including forecasting in accordance with direction from council and needs of the department. Wondering, should the treasurer be mentioned in there? Prepare in partnership with the treasurer.
You've got that in here
If I
somewhere,
may, you do have that. The-
seen it somewhere.
Yeah, I saw that too, on another. page. So,
In partnership with the CAO and treasurer, prepare any application for funding from the province, federal government, and other sources.
so it would make sense to put it here as well. To be consistent.
Think of those words. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
needs to
sense.
be, needs to be consistent.
So it should be put in there though with this, that bottom bullet, and I know I'm jumping ahead. Funding and budget as well, or we've already captured it. Because
Where was that?
for grants, an application for grants are much different than your budgeting for your department for the year.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to capitalize on the fact that we need to have something there for budgets.
And so this application for funding is referring to grants. And then you want the budgets.
I think budgeting
Yes.
is very important.
So then moving back to that second point, we'll add in you're in partnership with the treasurer, departmental budgets, and so on. Number 3, develop, implements, and maintains the town's fire master plan, including a yearly review.
Let me just ask the chief, is that every year that we got to review that, or every 5 years, the master plan?
We've gone over every year, just
Just go over what
review, yeah.
the big review wasn't every year, like we got a grant for that.
Yeah.
That was that a 5-year jobby or?
5 or 10.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably in the 10.
But this is just talking about reviewing it yearly.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because we do, all right. We do have a new one.
I think that's also in the bylaw. I'm sure about that.
Pardon me?
I think it also refers to that in the bylaw.
Yeah. Yeah, review, yearly review, okay.
1, regularly reviews and evaluates departmental, administrative, and service delivery processes with a view to streamlining / updating practices and fostering excellence in service delivery. Oversees the development of and authorizes departmental policies and procedures respecting the fire services. Responsible for overseeing the fire prevention education program, carrying out public education in the municipality to ensure the requirements of the Ontario Fire Code and Fire Protection and Prevention Act are met. Leads recruitment and retention strategies of volunteer firefighters.
Yes, Chris.
If I may ask a question, so when we're talking about oversees development of policies, responsible for overseeing fire prevention, education program, carrying out public education in the municipality. So all of this stuff, obviously he would be, she would be responsible for. But also council is supposed to get a review of this yearly. So is that kind of like part of the fire master plan review part of it? Would that qualify under the fire master plan yearly review?
That would be a lot of confused though.
Well, when it comes to fire prevention education programs, so. Council doesn't need to authorize or that's fire services. We just need to know what those are in case, so that we're in the loop that everything's, that's all I'm saying. So would that fall under the review?
Good, I guess so.
Or if I may, Mr. Chair, through you to Councillor Rodriguez, I think probably too, in the past, chiefs have given us the update, like yearly, this is what we're going to be doing. If we're gonna go to the schools, this is the programs we're looking at. I believe that's happened in the past, is it not, Scott? So would that
That's kind of
The
what,
umbrella that you're looking at.
yeah, that's what I'm kind of, did all under that umbrella?
Yeah, no, I think it's an ongoing review, like at each of our fire board meetings. They would have said, okay, you know, next week or next month, we're going to that school, or we're putting it, I think under the Ontario Fire Code, that's something you have to do on a continuous basis is public education thing. So I think it's ongoing, like, we're probably going to hear several things that are, like, quite often they'll be at the Kids Safety Day, the fire department putting on programs, or as recently as this past 2 weekends, you were at the two parks. That's public education. So it's an ongoing,
Like in the classroom.
yes, ag in the classroom. So I think that's what this is talking about, I believe.
And I think at any time, we could ask the chief to give us a report. This is where we're at for this year. This is what we're gonna be working on.
I think you've asked for
Okay,
that.
so maybe we just haven't gone to it yet, but maybe there should be something that there is a fire committee that they're responsible to reporting to.
Well, I think at
or
any,
Updating.
at any time, you know, if we had a request or, you know, if you or any other counselors had a request to be updated on what the education program is, all we have to do is ask the chief. The chief would come to a council meeting and give that. We think a big deal.
Just.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe you need to have them here, attends the executive committee meetings and gives,
To provide updates and reports.
oh,
Well,
It's just not not all jurisdictions have fire executive committees, not all jurisdictions. They strictly deal with CAO, fire service relations, because, you know, so there's so many differences, so if. It's a minute subject, I understand, and it's given maybe, but it should be listed as an expectation, so that they have a full understanding. What the job. Is. That's all. Just one little.
I mean, you could add, you know, just a couple of words into that Corky dot saying, and I'm responsible for overseeing fire prevention, education, carrying out public education and reporting to whatever.
Well, I think it could be its own separate line, like Norma had suggested, just a little one liner. Reports to the fire executive. How did you say? it?
Yeah, is there anything in here about them reporting to
yeah,
fire exec?
that he attends and reports at the executive fire committee.
but you were asking about council, were you not? Informing all of council?
Yes, so the fire executive committee would bring that to council, just like.
In our minutes.
Okay, 'cause I'm sorry, I got the feeling that you were asking for the chief to give a presentation on safety and education council.
Sorry. I think that goes. to The fire committee.
Goes to us and then-
Minutes.
Everybody should be reading the minutes of all the committees.
I think this is where he needs to give that.
Oh, I do too. I'm sorry, I thought,
Yeah, you're right. I did kind of put it that way. Just because I missed this stuff.
Okay, what is it you want Ella to? Anything to put there, or what do you?
I think there's another bullet. saying,
Yeah, I think.
I don't know where you want it, but, that he attends and reports the executive fire. what
Committee.
it called?
Fire executive.
Fire executive, I'm calling it the
Fire
other way
executive.
around.
Fire executive. Yeah, that's fine.
Still grasshoppers here.
you are,
Can I change just a wording on that?
Sure.
Yeah.
The reports to them with the fire exec, liaisons with the fire executive. Somebody's gonna read that and I'm reporting to here, I got council, I got this. It could be just
Sure.
throw up a little red flag and,
It's a nice word.
Softer.
Yeah, yeah.
softer word.
Right.
So it's not misinterpreted.
because I think it would just help out.
Yeah, no, that's good. Very good.
Yeah, I think we want to keep that chain of command, who reports to who,
Yeah.
through the committee, through to the council, through the committee, just like we're doing right now. Putting this together and Norma will sign it and council will get what we've done here.
I can read back the wording I just put in. So regularly attend to and liaison with the Plympton-Wyoming Fire Executive Committee.
Yeah, I think that's good, because we're gonna have some different words later, I think, for council. She's gonna say as required or as requested, right, Mr. Mayor? Yeah, so we want to keep them
Oh,
separate.
okay,
So,
now I
yeah,
see why you're.
we're one thing, we're talking about fire committee, then we'll talk about the council a little later.
We do have our organization chart that firefighters to me, to the fire chief, the chief to the CAO.
Yep.
Like that word liaison.
Yeah.
Liaison, I like it. Carry on,
That was
Heather.
good.
Big
Years of
sauce.
experience. I would say.
Establishes and maintains a working environment which promotes positive morale and teamwork. In partnership with the CAO and treasurer, prepare any applications for funding from the province, federal government, or other sources. Develops and maintains positive collaborative relationships with firefighters, residents, and government bodies. Conducts fire inspections throughout the municipality. Coordinates the fire training program together with senior fire department officers to ensure that all staff is trained to approved standards. Review development plans and sites for new construction, including renovations of buildings to ensure fire and safety issues are addressed.
Can I just stop you there at that, Corky? Part here, chief, about of buildings. Does the fire chief inspect all renovations of any?
That should be handled through the county at the building code level.
Yeah, like,
That involves all the fire codes. They're all in the building codes, the fire buildings goes.
like if I put in for a permit to renovate my back bedroom, does the fire chief have to go out and review all that?
And
Who reviews it?
the building inspector.
I understand new construction, I understand blueprints, designs and all that, but that part I just,
I can't see a building inspector.
yeah, go ahead, Ellen.
From my previous life with the town, the fire chief was always circulated on severance applications, minor variance, site plan, subdivisions. So anything that's kind of out of the ordinary, or just a standard building renovation. Like you said, the chief building official would do those reviews. So we can maybe tweak the wording.
So we do know that the fire chief also attends with the chief building official to certain buildings, like when we had. That's.
Yeah.
Those, he attended those.
Yeah. Right.
Out at the wedding.
At some hills, you know,
Wedding.
wedding,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay, that's a good point.
so he attended with Corinne on
So-
on those.
There's some commercial building, commercial facilities and everything else that code tells them what they have to do, but there's other things like a fire safety plan and everything else that for people, when you're opening up to the public, that has to be done, that's not in the building code.
Yeah.
So we don't want to take that
I
away.
don't think you want to take it out.
No.
May
Oh, yes.
it's, sorry. It's not sure on the above full. To ensure that all staff is trained, isn't all staff are trained or is trained, are trained?
Carl,
Well, staff are, that would sound better when instead of is.
Yep.
Okay,
Sorry.
No, Nettie's not here, so.
yeah, I was just gonna say, where's this, where have I heard this? Can you spell that A-R-E?
They're not home.
Okay.
Moving on, ensures emergency preparedness, response, and recovery services are readily available and administered, acts as the alternate community emergency management coordinator. Oversees fire prevention services. Perform additional duties, undertake additional responsibilities and special projects as required. And then it was suggested that the bullet point be removed of conducts health and safety training to all municipal staff, counselors, and firefighters.
That's to be added or taken.
That was to be suggested to be removed.
so
Why would that be?
I don't think it should be removed.
I don't either, but
I think that maybe just the wording maybe change some. To ensure that health and safety training. To,
Can I ask?
I don't know.
Did you say hell no? Oh,
I don't know how the end of it should go, but I think it would stay in.
okay, so why is the question, why is it being questioned? Like, who does conduct the health and safety training for all municipal staff? Is there not a health and safety committee?
Yes.
There's a health and safety committee. And we,
So wouldn't the joint health and safety committee be responsible for?
So my position is the one that assigns all of our online training. And I believe the individual in this role before was the one that booked all of the first aid training for staff and counselors. So I think that's maybe why somebody had suggested that line be removed, because it's not necessarily the fire chief that looks after everyone's training. And I think
That's kind of what I'm.
within the fire department, there is other people that are not unofficial training officers, correct?
That, I think with not the health and safety training, it sounds like I'm being trained in, well, I am trained in it, but the health and safety, that there's two parts to it, and everything else, that to become a health and safety member, that certified member. That training we send out to do, or have to come in, whatever it is, so that, but so I'm just trying to think of the wording that of what training. It's not really, falls under health and safety, but it's not just worded right. I was trying to think about it.
Was there a suggestion here that municipal staff do not need to be included in this statement, or counselors, simply because there is a joint health and safety committee? I remember receiving training from the previous person in your position during part of our training as new counselors on health and safety. It did not come from the fire chief. It came from staff.
Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I just wanted, I like the basis of that line. But could you say ensures that all staff, municipal staff, counselors and firefighters have their health and safety and first aid and all that stuff? Is there because I think we established a point a few years ago that as counselors, we do chair meetings with the public, and we need to have people here that are certified in first aid, CPR and all that. We did have to, Bobby and I did that together, didn't we? Our first aid.
Yeah.
And somebody was brought in, but we all had to make sure that we had all that training. That was our health and safety stuff.
Chief got our cards and he directed who came in and done it, and Rebecca was definitely involved in organizing, just like Ella's going to be, but it was under the chief's direction because it was his responsibility to make sure all the above had all the training, including counselors. Because when we're at meetings, we have to have safety training.
But the health and safety part of it, I think is,
Yeah, I think that
I think that's overreach. And going back to Ella's statement, you have an internal health and safety committee, which is, that's their purpose, is to make sure all staff are update health and safety, and quite frankly, as in health and safety and workplace, that they're also responsible for making sure all those certificates are up to date with internally with staff and counselors. I feel like it's so separate with fire and staff.
Scott, wasn't the fire chief, he had taken his first aid and CPR certificate so that he could train that course to us?
Yes.
I think that's, some of that is connected there.
that's what we're after.
Because over here, it's current first aid and CPR certificate. Yes, he's required to have that. So,
I think
I don't know.
I think what's going on here is, I think what Kristen's getting at, certainly hitting home for you, that saying that you're gonna do the health and safety, whereas we got joint health and
Yeah.
safety committees. We have them at Town Hall, we have it at Wyoming, we have it at Kamalaki, and that's their responsibility at each of those halls in the workplace. to ensure their health and safety training. This is basically ensures that proper like CPR health and safety training is done in
that
the municipality.
Health and Safety Committee does not do the training or anything else, then they're just,
They're the organizers of the
Right.
training.
not necessarily either, so. They're,
Yeah,
small workplace, yes, and a larger workplace, no. And they report that we're lacking this training and we'll go higher up. And
They go higher up too.
lacking, health and safety committee, then they be coming to me. And then I report it to the chief and that, we're lacking on this training, we need to do it.
So again, that goes back to firefighter, separate.
And it could be somebody the same as staff.
It can be.
Yeah. That going to, when they're training a command and that Val to Adam and, whatever the CEO here, or that Norma and Aaron, I guess.
So should we be just saying here, like ensures health and safety training at all municipal, not conducts? Conducts means he's doing it,
Yeah,
but ensures that it's all done.
yeah.
He has to ensure that all the training is done to his firefighters, probably through the fire marshal's office, right? He has to ensure all that training.
A lot of this is Ontario government, not fire related. And there's things we have to do fire, but there's the mandatory training every year, this
Yeah.
harassment policy, everything else, so.
There's a difference.
Yes, Ellen.
I was just gonna suggest we can maybe leave it a little more broad and open, say assists with training for municipal staff, counselors and firefighters. And that's just a very open-ended training.
Well, all I can say, this is the chief's job description we're talking about. To me, what he does, he isn't gonna do it all. His job is to ensure that it's all being done. That's just my opinion, but he ensures that it's being done. He has to document, he has to, right? Here we had conducts because at that time, that was exactly what we wanted to do is conduct the training. We want to bring the chief in to be able to conduct training for, well, what you mentioned CPR and first aid and all that. But in fact, what he did was he ensured it was done by hiring through his secretary and that to get Red Cross and him in to do it. But he just said conducts. That means he's doing it. Our suggestion here is he should oversee it, like, but not necessarily.
Training too.
Yes, he did. And that was part of the job description. Yeah. So,
So I guess I'm gonna go back to, let me provide a specific example or something, right? The previous position had a trained instructor. Is a trained instructor part of this job description to provide CPR for everybody? I guess now that we've invested all in all the equipment for that.
yeah, we did buy the equipment.
Yeah,
And when you're saying health and safety, that's a very broad statement.
yeah.
But that way you're covering everything to ensure that everything is done. You leave that if health and safety, as you're right, it does encompass a big area.
Because which some of the things I just don't believe are the job of a fire chief. They're more, some of them are WSIB or just your code of conduct stuff, right? Like that you have internal with firefighters. It's such a broad range when you're talking about, it's not just CPR. Women's, why would he be in charge of women's for staff? He normally would organize all
That
that.
would be done through HR downloads. Individually, we would do that. Yep.
Right, so
So
that falls under here, and that's kind of why it's misleading maybe a little bit, the statement.
Well, I don't
Yeah, I
know,
guess
it's
that's
always
fine.
the senior executive, everything moves up to the chief, right, in health and safety.
Yeah.
And if it isn't done, right, even through the health and safety committees, they don't report to themselves, they report through the ranks. And then it's up to the district chief, and then through the main chief to make sure that all the health and safety rules, regulations, committee minutes, wherever the directions are, the requests for training is done, including women's. CPR, first aid. Chief, and if something goes wrong. And that stuff hasn't been done. It's been reported to through the chain of command. Falls back on the.
So
chief.
you're referring to firefighters.
No, I'm referring to any
Municipal
employee
staff goes to the fire chief to get their women's training?
goes, yes, we all had it. The counselors were added. Counselors weren't on it before until it was identified that in order for us to conduct a meeting without anybody present that had CPR and first aid, you couldn't. You had to have somebody here for that. So they gave that training to all the counselors. We carry, well, you do too, carry a card, don't you? Yeah. So that's where that came from. So counselors was added in there. Municipal staff, they always had to be trained anyways, but seeing as how the job description said the chief had to be certified for this. Now, the chief did, he doesn't do all this. He directed Red Cross and he made sure it was done. I realize what you're saying, Chris, that health and safety is an awful broad.
That just throws a lot of onus
Yeah,
onto a
yeah,
potential, which we
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing because.
Maybe you just need to say ensures that all training for staff, counselors and firefighters is.
Yeah.
In
I like the word assists.
this. Oh my God.
Like I do like in the examples that we have here that from Village of Point Edward. Both the same thing we're talking about, ensures implementation of and compliance with applicable legislation, regulations, policies, procedures and standards, including but not limited to corporate policies, Occupational Health and Safety Act, Fire Safety Act, Electrical Safety, sector standards.
I think that
These are ensures implementation, doesn't mean conducts it.
right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know where you just read that.
It's in your
I
package.
know.
Here.
That's page 2 of.
Yeah, that kind of covers it.
Sorry, which that was,
Village of Point Edward.
Page 2 at the
Page two.
bottom. Supervision, human resources.
Would have a nice one.
Yeah.
That pretty well covers it, doesn't it?
I think the last one, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
Up a couple there, Ella.
Bottom of 2, Scott?
It's partway down on operations, the last one.
I think that's much better words. Take out that other. So he ensures, he oversees, he, however you want to describe it, yeah.
That's perfect.
Better than that broad health and safety term. Everybody okay with that, Dan?
I'm fine. That's good, Bob. Yep.
Did he give you 2 thumbs up?
But, yeah.
He did.
Who did? Pete? Okay, sir. Right. Carry on, Ella.
I'm where I am. Moving on,
That's a team.
Doing good.
moving on to required experience, education and skills. The and skills was a recommendation that added to that heading. Completed post-secondary education with 10 years fire suppression experience, of which at least 5 years have been in a senior level position, ideally in an environment including volunteer / on-call firefighters and multiple stations.
If I may, through you, Mr. Chair, to Chief Bird, can you talk about senior level position? Is that like from a captain?
Captain up.
Captain up.
Thank you. Sorry, Ella.
Okay, so that's good to know. We're all clear of that from captain
Yeah,
up.
I like this. It's
Yeah, because you know, when I hear someone, I'm glad you brought that up, Gary, because when I hear senior level, I'm thinking, you know, you gotta be a deputy chief or captain up. That's good.
Certified as a company officer with the Ontario Fire College NFPA Fire Officer Level 3.
High enough, chief?
CEMC certification would be considered an asset. The successful candidate would receive training if they do not already hold. Possess NFPA 1021 Fire Officer Level 2 or NFPA 1041 Fire Service Instructor Level 2, or NFPA 1031 Fire Inspector Level 2, or equivalency would be considered an asset. I did reach out to the Office of the Fire Marshal and just to get some clarity on what would be the bare minimum certification or training the chief would be required to have. I would advise that would depend on what the inspection was of the chief, like a job description standpoint or duties. So these various training would be, if we wanted them to do the public education piece or go out and perform inspections, holding some of these certifications would give them the ability to do so.
So in saying that, that's what these certifications are for, and that's part of their responsibilities. Should we be saying it considered an asset or a requirement? If that's what it's for, public education and inspections, which is part of the duties of a fire chief.
This line is kind of, kind of like when you're ordering at a restaurant, you can have French fries or salad or soup. So,
What?
well, or each one of these are
Oh,
separated
I
by an
see.
or.
I know,
okay.
maybe you should say and, I don't know, I don't know what the,
Yeah, that's.
Scott will have to tell us more about that.
Or.
Just the different levels of the 1021 fire officers that you could probably even take that out because right above it says we want fire officer level 3. Fire officer course NFPA is 1021 level 3. That and we're coming back and possess 1021 be an asset. Well, they got 1031, or level 3, they got level 2 before they get level 3. So
Oh, so it doesn't matter.
that doesn't matter.
Take out the 1021.
They go to 1021. The other ones are good, later that, and again, that you could put in that, the last one about expect them to have receive the training after hiring.
Okay,
Yeah,
is it something they should already have as part of the qualification?
not necessarily.
Is it in our bylaw, Ella?
Can't remember off the top of my head.
Could be wrong.
Scott, if I ask to receive the training, is this going back to the CEMC or?
Oh, there'd be, do more training as far as your NFPA 1021 officers or inspections, and they might not have anything yet. That, even deputy chiefs that, they've got, there's a whole, they come from a bigger department, there's a whole inspection division. That, so they probably would never do inspections and so. They're, you can see in here, we've sent somebody for the court to take the course, which help out with inspections and get their certification level.
I see what you're saying. So like somebody could be in a position as a deputy and never have to do any of that stuff because it's somebody else does it.
Right.
Okay.
You're just saying if you added the same as CMC saying, but it would be requirement. Yeah.
If we're gonna require them to do inspections,
Yeah.
then they need to have whatever level they need.
Well, it's especially if it's part of the bylaw, that's a requirement. You have to try and be with the bylaws as well. You make a good point there, though. They're coming from a.
Yeah, and that, I think it's doing good to keep our expectations low. We can have people to choose from. You get them too high, you're eliminating a whole lot of people and.
Or the fields up.
You know, may not get anybody you like.
Okay, so what's the wording gonna be on that one then? Bella, what do you?
Possess NFPA 1041 Fire Services Instructor Level 2 or NFPA 1031 Fire Inspector Level 2 or equivalency would be considered an asset. The successful candidate would receive training if they do not already hold it.
Sound good? So, yeah. Are we saying the right thing? We're considering an asset. I know you're adding the words, but would be expected to achieve this level.
It would be.
It would be required. Everybody okay with that?
Moving on, and forward thinking with a proven ability to provide effective leadership using professionalism, integrity, and accountability, creating a strong team environment. Exceptional organizational, project management, interpersonal, verbal, and written communication skills with an ability to interact between government and the private sector. Ability to identify opportunities for improvement and efficiencies to adapt to and manage change. Solid and demonstrated leadership skills with an ability.
Everybody's reading. Exceptional organizational, project management, interpersonal, or even the motivating forward thinking, like, to me, something needs to say management experience. It doesn't have to say years or months.
Okay, if you say with management experience, like, are you eliminating somebody that's been a captain for 15, 20 years that wants to move up?
That person to me would have management experience because he's in a leadership position, overseeing several.
You know, so maybe that'd be classified as a supervisor, which is part of management.
So what you're like, you're,
Spelling it out.
Yeah, well, but captains aren't really management. You are.
Well,
It says it, lower on page 2, must have demonstrated leadership and managerial ability, a proven work record in the area of personnel management.
Who's that?
That is in the description.
Last line.
That's yours, right?
Last line on your page.
I think I was at solid and demonstrated leadership skills with an ability to engage staff and create trusting and positive work relationships. Must be a team player with a commitment to quality, customer service, and well-developed public relation skills. Then there's a line about must have demonstrated leadership and managerial ability, a proven work record in the area of personnel management. Extensive knowledge of fire department rules, regulations, standing orders, policies, procedures, and applicable municipal and provincial codes, acts, and bylaws. Excellent critical thinking and problem-solving skills. It's suggested the next line of must have good computer skills be replaced with proficiency in Microsoft Office programs and database applications.
Is that, sorry, yeah. Is that standard across the board, the Microsoft Office?
That's what we run off of. All of our programs is Microsoft.
Because the fire software, is that like Windows based?
I don't know, another thing on computers. I can operate, but what the systems are, I have no idea. So
Yeah, I don't.
if I can learn it, the new team can learn it.
Want a line added in there, experience with Fire Pro would be considered an asset.
well,
Yeah.
I think so. Well, sorry, that's just my own. There are some concerns relating to our safety security in the county, so, fire pro, so I don't think we crossed that bridge yet.
Good point. Yeah, we haven't, for sure.
We'll say database application, which
Yeah,
that is the Fire Pro in his database.
Yeah.
it
So-
is. Okay, thank you.
So I think we're good. Covered that?
Current standard first aid and CPR certificate. Valid Ontario DZ driver's license and a clean driver's.
Yeah. A lot of these jobs today need a criminal records check and stuff like that. What does this town require for any for that stuff, Norma? For any employee? Anything?
Well, we do check their driver's licenses,
Yeah, I know for the
driver's license check.
summer student pool staff, they need criminal record, like vulnerable sector checks. I
So
suppose the chief
There's
probably require one. if-
fighters need to sector check.
Do they?
Well, the chief was to go to school for education.
Isn't that what Scott just said?
So I
He
think
said
we should have that.
vulnerable record check.
Yeah, that's.
We call it in my industry. police clearance certificate.
Well,
I'm not sure what the difference, if there is.
Well, there's a difference.
It's dealing with minors.
Yeah.
So,
There is.
if the chief was to go into schools and do education bits, I would assume the schools would most likely like to see that they're a clean record.
I'm wondering if when they do these checks, they're just narrowing the scopes of what you're asking for. So please clearance certificate is any criminal record, not just vulnerable. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Honorable is
I'm
definitely.
wondering if it's if it's better to do the more. For sure, I think police clearance is more, covers everything.
Yeah,
Whereas that seems to me to be a specific.
Do we want it from every single applicant or just the successful?
Success.
Well, just successful, I would think, like vulnerable, because like our chief works with kids. They go to schools, so I would have, I don't, we didn't have it in here before, but I would, if all the firefighters have to have it, I would have to think that should be a requirement.
I think we had to sign off on that as running for election too. didn't we? Is that something you could check into, Ellen, for specifics on the vulnerable versus just a regular?
You can even look at the example applications and see if any of them have requested.
Well, general police clearance is definitely the lower, and I know because I went through it. You'd had to be fingerprinted for Pete's sake. For the vulnerable. We didn't for just the criminal records check. But being the church and
That's
that's,
it.
yeah, oh, it had to be fingerprinted.
But it's so specific.
Well, they probably looked
Some
at
they
your-
do.
They looked at your record.
Oh, they did, yeah, I did all right, I guess. Didn't get charged with any bank robberies. But anyways, I think we should put
Didn't
that.
get charged.
It's before the courts.
There's a difference. isn't there?
I think probably the successful applicant would do that.
Successful applicant would be required for whatever you want to call it. And Kristen, good point. Either, what do they call it? Criminal records check or vulnerable records check.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting. Ellen can check.
Yeah, see what
I'm
that is.
not really- The other one's offhand.
Now, Norma, you said they checked on driver's licenses. Now we took that out of here, the driver's abstract. We took, it was taken, oh, no, it's added
We
in
put
there,
it in.
pardon me.
We put it in.
We put it in.
It must be insurable. I would have been. Well, I just, you have to provide as per our insurance. You have to provide a valid insurance certificate. And valid driver's license. I don't know why, but you have to provide.
If you got a valid driver's license, wouldn't you have to?
You would
that?
think,
But if you lost 6 points or you lost,
you would think, but you do have to provide that for our insurance.
The firefighters have anything like that, chief?
The driver's license, we just do the drive abstract on them, so.
so,
So
okay,
maybe it would affect your insurance rates.
so.
Our insurance
So
requires.
if they get a DZ license. You do a check and what shows up, they lost 4 points for a speeding ticket. So what's that mean? What's that do? Anything?
Well, I still got a license, they don't, so,
We're all insured.
yeah.
I think you're just assuming one goes with the other, but proof of this job. Due diligence. I don't think it hurts. And that's again, successful candidate. in Every applicant.
Well,
Thank you, very successful, Ken.
yes, successful. Yeah. Carry on, Ellen.
By adding a line in about insurance for the successful benefit.
I don't think you should, but that's just me. What's the rest of the committee think?
Well, I think it's a good idea for your insurance.
What, but, okay, well, do you do that? Summer students, everybody, do you call your insurance company and say, so and so, can we insure them? They drive
I
our
don't
trucks
think
and like,
So it goes to whether they're insurable or not. Just because you have a driver's license doesn't necessarily mean you're insurable. So it goes to insurability. And the risk of insurability. It's a due diligence and I really don't think it hurts to have it. I don't think it's a big deal and it's only a successful candidate. I don't know.
The only point
I
I'm,
just know it's a good practice because just because you have a driver's license doesn't mean you're insurable.
the only point I'm trying to make, if it's policy, the municipal policy, that you're checking everybody before they can drive to where they're insurable, that's fine. But is this the only position you're gonna check for insurability? That's the point I'm trying to make, like,
So you can get your driver's license back, but you could have had a DUI conviction.
oh, I'm
That
not.
your insurability is
Yeah.
very low. So do you want to know that or not want to know that? That's due diligence.
So I think doesn't that show up on the abstract?
Not insurability. Insurability is
If he had a,
so you just provide a valid.
would not show up.
Well, I guess it would, but then you still don't know if they're insurable, right?
We have to submit to our insurance any names of individuals that would be using company vehicles.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's my point, like,
Interesting.
No, we do not. I do not submit people's names,
Should
but we do check them, their driver's license. I don't know.
Got a question for our insurance people?
well.
Or we can.
I don't want to open it.
Lower your insurance rates.
Okay, so it sounds like we're not gonna add that. Is that what I'm hearing?
If you want, I've typed it up, I can delete if we don't want it, but the successful applicant is required to obtain a criminal record check and / or vulnerable sector check. That's it.
Well, that's not it. We may add another 3 pages.
Fair enough. I still need to add in the line from St. Clair. Job posting of the training.
Yeah. That's what. that was
St.
better
Clair.
worded.
I think it's not the-
Right, Edward.
Play everything out.
Oh, right, sorry.
Okay, so,
Like me to add that and I'll print this as a final. And we can do a super quick one over of it.
yeah, I think that,
So I have a question.
Yes.
yes.
And this thinking, this title of this person. Sorry, is Director of Fire and Emergency Services / Fire Chief.
Oh, yes.
He's Emergency Services, is that part of fire? Or is that CMC?
Probably CMC.
So is he just the Director of Fire Services then?
Yes, I would think so.
So. What I'm trying
Oh,
to make us look more uniform. I'm the Director of Public Works. He's not called a chief or a coordinator or whatever, he's a director. So this guy would be the Director of Fire Services. I don't know.
yeah, I'm just looking at the other, St. Clair is,
Some of them just say,
Director of Emergency Services / Fire Chief, that's St. Clair.
some of them, yes, so I,
And Edward, Fire Chief.
ooh, yes, so I don't know. Is there,
So in the bylaw, they refer to the meaning. They call it the chief fire official.
oh,
Is their definition.
fire official.
Comes out of the OFM's office.
Yes, it's as per under the.
Is that what we should be calling him? I don't know, I just, it
Official.
was just a question in my head.
Municipality, you can call him whatever you want, your chief fire official. Chief fire official could be your CAO. You know, a fire department.
So chief fire official
Yeah,
is what you call. it's called.
Some say fire chief.
That's.
Fire
that's the
services.
wording from the fire marshal's office.
Yeah.
Make the broad, we're hiring a fire chief to be our chief. Our fire official.
So chief fire official.
No,
Aaron,
Is that what you want to call
I
it?
had noticed that. And we weren't sure if the whole department was fire and emergency services. And that's why that was in the title, or if because of the emergency management.
Yeah.
Was in there, so.
See, a lot of,
I thought about making that suggestion, but we didn't, just for the unsure.
Yes, he's, St. Clair says, Director of Emergency Services / Fire Chief.
But I believe they're one of the.
But he-
Is.
He's a CMC. But then you go to the next one and it's like pointed out is Fire Chief of of Fire Services. So I don't know what right answer is. I just,
I
if
think
we're
we should
making a
just go
change, we
by
need
your-
to make it now.
I just think you should go by your fire. Be fire official.
Still saying fire chief. There. He said that is wording from the Area Fire Marshal's office, not designating anybody. But it's their, whoever the municipality designates as their fire, person in charge of fire. It can be a fire chief, whatever they want to call them, like a CEO. There's municipalities who don't have fire department.
The broad statement.
Yeah, so now that comes down to fire under the OFM's office, that who have you designated? Well, the CAO is now designated, so we don't have a fire department. That we've designated the fire chief as our fire official. And to put that out into the service now, that nobody does it, and everything else, so.
What are you suggesting? Leave it as it is, Scott, or change?
I got no problem just going with fire chief and Department of Fire Services.
There you go.
Director of Fire Services, I don't know.
Director of Fire Services / Fire Chief. I don't know. I just,
The director probably comes through.
Then if you look at the top, where it says title reports to department, the department is Fire and Emergency Services Department.
Is a bylaw.
In the job.
In our,
but I think an emergency has to come out of them all. It's Fire Services Department.
I think emergency is a given.
Uh,
So if we're putting it in there as an and, we could be insinuating something else, right? And none of us are clear on what that something else is. So I think I agree with it. And emergency services needs to come out because fire is an emergency.
Right, but not all calls the fire department goes to are exclusively fire. There's crashes or.
So that's why you would just say fire service, right?
Drowning.
You're encompassing everything.
I think emergency. Personally, I think it's okay because it isn't just fires you guys go to. You can go to any kind of emergency. You can go to flyaway chickens or something. You could go to drownings. You could go to,
shooting arrows out of a house.
you could go to massive leaks on tanker trucks. I think that's. what-
That's why you just say fire services, you cover it all.
Yeah, but fire means it's fire.
I like what's still there. Director of Fire and Emergency Services / Fire Chief. 'Cause like Bob said, everything, we've had everything from shooting arrows to whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Shooting arrows.
Like you're not just limited to fire accidents. Rollovers.
That's just my opinion. It's up to the committee. What we
I-
wanna move forward with.
Actually, I have to support you on that one, Bob.
Chief, you okay with what's there?
What's there?
You agree that emergency means a lot of different things?
It's a big spectrum and everything else, so.
Yeah. Kristen, you agree with going with?
Oh,
what's there?
I'm fine either way. I just seen already the statement brought a lot of questions. So why not eliminate the question?
Well, I
That's
didn't,
all.
I didn't disagree till the chief did it, but this wasn't official. It can be the CAO, like, this, we're talking about a fire chief, an emergency.
I'm fine.
Norma, you okay with that? You're gonna sign it? Okay.
I'm fine with that. I just,
Ella, what do you think?
I raised the same thought, but then after Aaron and I started reading through it, it sounds like the whole department is Fire and Emergency Services Department.
Okay, anything else there that you'd like to change or suggest or? Anything there that you see?
I think. Team has done a great job pulling everything.
Mhm.
I've embedded all the changes, so I can print these for a one over and we can call it good to go, hopefully.
And Yeah, you can send it out to all of us and then I'll drop in to town hall. Norma and I'll have a final discussion.
You
and-
wanna do, are you printing it now, or
I can, or we
Yeah,
can.
she was just gonna print it now.
she could do it now for us, Bob?
Yeah, and then we can finalize it tonight and on your desk.
He types 90 words per minute.
110.
Type slower. I'm going- Oh, I'm going for a break.
Yeah.
Because she's got one less.
I'm gonna say that here.
Okay, so,
2-minute break and I'll go and grab.
yeah, let's take a 10, yeah,
Yes,
back
take
at
a
6
break.
o'clock.
Perfect.
How's that?
Great.
What a great job. Yeah. Back here, for those of you on, people who are online, welcome back. We have completed the job description here for the Director of Fire and Emergency Services / Fire Chief. So we've just finalized it and got the final copy here. So if everybody had a chance, if you had a chance to review it, pardon? What was that?
Did I get one?
Did you get the final one?
I should have put one on your spot. The one with the new town letterhead, no draft watermark on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I buried it. I'm sorry.
So if you reviewed it, and you don't have any more changes, we'll move forward. It was moved by Gary Atkinson, second by Kristen Rodriguez. The Fire Executive Committee approved the job description as amended. We have made some changes. For the Director of Fire and Emergency Services / Fire Chief and staff be directed to publish the job posting. Any more comments, any final comments? Maybe just a second to think about that.
Trying to-
Yeah, okay, I'll get, yeah, take your time. Get over.
The couple of pages we talked about. I just focusing on the amendment.
Okay, all finished? All in favor? Carry. Thank you. Norma, that's the final. And that's what this special meeting was about. We don't have any other items here tonight. Moved by Kristen Rodriguez, second by Gary Atkinson, the Fire Exec Committee adjourns until June the 27th. 2023 meeting, all of the chair. All in favor? That was moved by Kristen, second by Gary. Meeting adjourned.